David released on suspected Idaho murderer Bryan Kohberger details a lot of chilling new information. There are even witness accounts of what unfolded in the home that night, including one surviving roommate's alleged run-in with the suspect. I want to read you a portion of the affidavit where the roommate, described as DM, says that she saw a male figure in black clothing and mask. Quote, the male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. DM did not recognize the male. And joining me now is psychiatrist and former mental health policy fellow in the U.S. Senate, Dr. Daniel Bober. Dr. Bober, the affidavit laying out one of the surviving roommates' accounts of what she heard and saw that night. At one point, she even describes hearing someone say someone's in the house, and later she hears crying. So I want to get to a better understanding of why police were not called right away, because the events I described were frightening enough that the roommate locked herself in the bedroom. But why not call police? Could she have been in shock for that long?
Well, you know, Mitch, they call it fight or flight, but it's actually fight, freeze, or flight. We see this in police officers. We see this in soldiers on the battlefield. It's in the activation of what we call the sympathetic nervous system, and chemicals like adrenaline are released, which prepares your body basically for the fight of its life. And sometimes people can freeze up where they become disconnected from their thoughts and emotions, which is what we call dissociation. So this is a response that can happen in anyone. And a lot of people will say, well, I would react this way or that way, but no one really knows until they're in the situation. So I don't think we can judge too harshly here.
So I understand freezing in the moment when a potential murderer, or at least just a strange man, is in your home after 4 a.m. What I don't quite understand at this time is the police were not called until about noon the next day. That's the information we have. And also the roommates had called other people over because they were concerned about their roommate. So they called friends to come over before they called police. So the state of shock, I'm curious about how long it could possibly last and why they would have called somebody else before they called police.
Well, I don't know that it would last that long, but maybe there's another explanation. Maybe she was afraid. Maybe she was in denial about what she was seeing. Maybe, you know, she had been consuming alcohol. There's any number of reasons that she could have delayed it. But obviously, I don't think it was for any nefarious purpose. I just think it was probably her particular response to something that she couldn't believe that she was seeing. It's also possible that maybe she told herself that maybe this is related to one of the other roommates, that someone else is in the home. We just won't really know. There's really no way to ask, unfortunately.
And I know this is a difficult question for you to answer, but it's why we have you on. The alleged killer here killed 4, walked right past a 5th. I'm curious as to what that indicates about the mental state of the suspect in this situation.
So I believe what you're going to find out is that this killer was stalking a particular individual. And what do we know about stalkers? We know that the risk of violence increases if there's an intimate relationship with them. We know that the risk of violence increases if there's a history of substance use, criminal behavior, unemployment. So I believe that he had contact with one of these victims. Whether it was a casual contact or a more intimate contact, we won't know yet until we find out more information. But I believe there was a single target here, and these people that were there with her were probably just other unfortunate victims.